And we're rolling, and we're rolling.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we call it Mormon Enlightenment Stories or just Mormon Enlightenment what?
Heart to Heart with Drew Fagen.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mormon Enlightenment Stories. What other word is there? Hey everybody, welcome to Mormon Enlightenment. Today we're featuring my friend Drew Fagen. And do I say your name? Your last name?
Drew, I go by Drew Fagen, yeah.
Yeah, I say it right.
Pronounced like Reagan, but Fagen.
And Drew has been a great friend to me and kind of like a confidant. He's helped me in a lot of ways. One of the cool things about Mormon Enlightenment, the group, is that you'll make friends. Not just like, these are not just relationships online. These are actual friends that you can do things with and you can call and you can, and I've appreciate you because there's been several things that I've called and asked advice about. I respect your insights. I think you're a smart dude.
I appreciate
that.
I
like you guys, you and Ashley. So
certainly vocal.
So anyway, we've got Drew here with us, and we're gonna let him tell his story. So, Drew, take it away. Who is Drew, and give us an idea of why are you here with us today? How did you get here? What was your experience, and what caused you to have your awakening?
That's a good question. I'm an officer, sworn officer for the state of Utah, and I've been a member of the Honor Guard with my department, and in that capacity, I have been a part of many police funerals up and down the Wasatch Front for the past 17 years. And one of the police funerals that I was involved in very directly with the graveside ceremonies, 21 gun salute, flag folding, interacting directly with the widow and the children, really left me with a lot of questions. Really left me with a lot of unanswered questions. And nothing that the gospel offered could ameliorate my suffering, could fix the angst that I was going through. And so that was the genesis of my awakening. I remember standing on that cemetery lawn and just going, I got nothing. Nothing in the gospel can fix this moment. Nothing. So that's the moment. And from there, it turned into a retrenchment, a doubling down. I thought, well, the problem's me. Don't you know, the problem's always you. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up reading the Book of Mormon, and this is a fun little side note, 26 times over the next 5 months. Some days I was reading, or some weeks I was reading it in 3 or 4 days. And just praying and pleading, and nothing. Felt nothing. And it was one word at the end of Jacob that was the rabbit hole. It was the door into the end of my testimony, the end of everything. And the word was adieu. And I find it ironic that the word adieu is the word, because it's French for goodbye. So very, very portentous word there. It was alluding to the end of my testimony. But I'm like, what the hell is a French word doing on plates written in a language before that language ever existed? Just didn't make sense to me. Rabbit hole. There you are. That turned into a 5-year journey of vetting every single truth claim, listening to every YouTube video, reading every book. I built a library. I'm upwards now of 300 books that I've read. I have 2 filing cabinets full of stuff that I've printed. And just I'm an academic. I'm a natural academic. Like to read, analyze, criticize, and I really like to find where my weaknesses are and then make them better, make them stronger, or in terms of argument and debate. Not necessarily to prove anybody wrong, but to be able to prove my own ideas right. Because a lot of people are going to believe what they want to believe, and you'll see that in Mormonism. People want to be willfully ignorant, and you can't rescue them from that. They want to believe the thing is true. They don't want to let it go of an idea. And it's really not my place to tell them they're wrong for holding on to something I don't believe anymore. I don't want to be that disrespectful. But that journey led into a 5-year exit, which I'd say is pretty final now. And for 4 of those years, Ashley and I were a mixed faith couple. She was active, she retrenched, she had to be the strong one. She may not put it in those terms, but that's exactly what happened. And she'll tell her story, but over the past year, she has finally disavowed and removed herself in all ways, but in every way possible, but the actual resignation from the LDS Church. And she'll tell her story. But we made space for each other in those 4 years, being mixed faith. Showed an incredible deference to each other, incredible respect, proof that it can be done. I will tell you, though, that we're much happier now that we're more aligned. And that alignment has distilled beautifully upon our children. They don't see the tension, they don't see the infighting, they don't see the need to squabble, to squabble over every little doctrine. What do we teach them about this? How do we teach them about sexuality? How do we teach them what's true and how to feel the Spirit? None of those things matter anymore. So that is a nutshell version of our story.
That's a nutshell version of your story, right? And so, give me an idea. I mean, you are extremely intellectual.
Yeah.
You're a really smart dude, and I watch your communications online and so forth. And
I appreciate that.
yeah, no, it's really great, and that's why I've come to you for insight around different things. But what, if it's okay, like, where are you now? Like the awakening, I understand kind of where that came from, and where do you find yourself now?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's important for the listeners to know this too. My background academically is just a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from Brigham Young University, Provo. And I think what's might be fun for the listeners to hear here is that I was not a good student in high school. I was not a good student. I grew up in a home where there was sexual abuse, there was physical abuse, and I'll just leave it at that. I won't get into the sordid details here, but it left me with a fractured sense of self. It left me with a really poor self-esteem, and I navigated all of my adolescence and early young adult years with that brokenness. I never really did anything about it, and finally I just got emboldened one day and said, I'm living here in Provo, I'm living here in Utah Valley, I want to go to college, I think I can do that. And I just believed in myself. Long story short, I ended up 4.0ing the first 3 semesters of college.
4.0.
4.0, straight A's. And
that's I know, I didn't go to college, but I know how hard that is. Okay.
It was hard, and I was working full-time. I had no support financially. So I'm living in BYU student housing, sharing a room with somebody, working 30 hours a week. I take the bus everywhere. I'm impoverished. I have no car. I have nothing. And I'm stealing scholarships from privileged people. It was kind of fun, and I love saying it like that because it used to anger me to see people driving up in their BMWs and stuff. I'm like, you don't even know. But now I look back and I'm like, you know what? Good for them. It's not like that anymore. But I said, I'm going to get myself a scholarship and I'm going to get myself a degree and I'm going to change my economic mobility. I'm going to change my economic trajectory for me so that I can provide for myself, my family, and just have a life different than what I was given. And I'm not going to be a victim, I'm going to be victor. And so I did things and I invested in myself academically, and I was a straight A student all through college. I ended up with 2 B pluses, I think. One was a weightlifting class, go figure. But all of my core classes I did really well. And learned how to think critically. I didn't realize that would help me later in life to analyze truth claims. But incident to all of that was counseling. I enrolled myself in counseling, and I've had the same LDS therapist now for 16 years. And I love this man. He was the one that told me, you need to stop going to the LDS Church. It's causing you harm. It's upsetting you. And I think you really would be a benefit to find Christianity in a different place. So it speaks volumes about him and his integrity and his professionalism.
Is he active LDS? I'm just curious.
I'm not sure. I don't care. I don't know to speak to that. It strikes me, but he's clearly LDS. I do know that. But more than that is the integrity he showed in suggesting that to me, and that led to a 16-year relationship, and he has walked me through every possible. He knows my story. So when I write my memoirs, and I talked to him last week, and I have a session with him on Monday, we're going to talk about. I just have to include him. He's part of the journey. But so where am I at now? I mean, that was the original question. I'm in a place of peace. My marriage has never been better. In fact, I just could never have imagined being this happy, this close. We are nuanced, and that's just the best way I know how to put it. We have conversations about everything. Every possible marital arena, we have it. And more importantly, as parents, we're looking at how we're going to teach our kids things like morality. And I do not mean the Mormon definition of morality. I actually mean being a conscientious moral agent. How do we make good decisions? What influences why we do good? What is good? Absent theology, being able to do all that. And so that's kind of a fun place to be. But we teach our kids right now to do the right thing for right's sake. And I don't need a Bronze Age sage from Palestine or a Christian narrative to dictate how to teach that. I can do that absent. And so for me, in the spirit of where are you now, I am an agnostic, borderline atheist. I have no need for the Christian narrative. I have no need for Christianity in all of its iterations. I only have need of authentic communication and interaction. And really that begins with me sitting my butt in counseling and getting in touch with myself. You bring a false interaction with other people when you're not true to yourself. And when I was able to walk through my faith crisis and find a way to connect with Ashley, and then unite with her in raising our kids and making our marriage better, I had no need for religion. And the irony to it all is that the very religion that I grew up with that taught me that families are forever and that I can find the greatest joy is in fact the greatest stumbling block and source of pain I could have ever imagined, and I'm still unraveling some of that. But my membership in the church was perhaps one of the most traumatic experiences ever. There's just no other way to put it. And I didn't know how nefarious, how entangled, how enmeshed my identity and my sense of self and my belief in being spiritual was tied to Mormon theology. And there's a bit of an unrest that happens when you realize that if you're removing Mormonism from your life, you're suddenly asking yourself, well, who the hell am I?
Right.
Well, wait, how do I get answers to prayers? Well, do I even need to pray? What does it mean to be a father? What does it mean to be a husband? You start to have all these other existential questions, none of which are about where did I come from, why am I here, and where am I going? I couldn't care less about those questions. I don't care about them. The only thing I care about is the present tense. We talked about this earlier, the next second. You know, what is my life going to be with this beautiful woman and our 4 kids in 5 minutes? That's all I care about.
Isn't that cool?
It's very cool. It's very Eckhart Tolle, you know, the power of now. I believe in that. I don't worry about tomorrow. I don't waste energy on what tomorrow might be because I can't change tomorrow per se. Yeah. I can influence tomorrow, but I certainly can't change the past. I can't change what my mom did to me. I can't change the abuse I went through. What I can change are the meanings that I attach to what I went through. And so instead of being a victim or this poor abused soul, I am now this empowered individual who has a deep reservoir of compassion for people who have been likewise tested. And I don't really care what religion they belong to. It's the collective human condition of suffering. And I can connect with people in any different angles on that.
I just wanted to thank Drew because what I've seen out of you, what I've seen out of the Fagen camp is a sincere desire to... I've seen it not just towards me and my wife, but you actually do give a crap about people. And
I do.
I've seen that, you know. I've seen you repeatedly reaching out to people and trying to help.
Especially people who suffer. That resonates with me. Yeah, thank you.
Last question for you.
Sure.
Because to me, this is something that I've noticed in your interactions and your things you post and things like that, and being with you and your...
How in love I am with my wife?
Yeah, man. Like, it's cool. I love it. I dig it. It's like...
that's good.
You know when people appear as though they're still on their honeymoon. And I've always... I love that. And so what's going on there? Like, why is that so... What is that spark? What is that passion? And I know it's not fake because I know you guys.
Oh, it's real.
Where's, like...
It's real.
Yeah, I mean, people, anybody would love that.
Sure, but you have to pay a price to have that. At least that we did. So okay. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What you need to know, though, to really appreciate this is I was married and divorced twice as a student at BYU. So Yeah, I got 2 scarlet D's on my forehead.
But
you know?
you've been married 15 years to Ashley. Like,
I've been together 17, married 15. So, I mean, we're coming up on 2 decades together. We're 15 years apart. I'm 52, she's 37. It is not in any way, shape, or form the stereotypical or blueprint map for a successful relationship. Here's the thing, I don't care about scripts, I don't care about agendas, and I don't care what statistics predict. All I've done my whole life is shirk statistics and make fun of them. Because I am going to be the anomaly. I'm going to be the generation breaker. I'm going to be the guy that breaks the cycle, whatever. That's just how I'm built. I have that confidence, I have the belief, and I carry that into my marriage. And I'm like, you know what, this is hard. But what people don't know, and what I think they ought to know, and I'll just, summarize it this way, is we spent years living together but being so disconnected. So much of that being the result of what was foisted upon us in the name of theology, church courts, and discipline that basically taught us that our bodies are not ours to possess, that our sexuality is not ours to possess, that it is controlled and dictated by a nefarious, and I love that word, patriarchy, that thinks it can tell you what underwear to wear, who to have sex with, when to have sex with, and if I'm just being honest, it's that's not the case, nor should it be the case. And that's where we finally said, you know what, we love each other. We understand what the bounds of our love is, and we're going to recreate and redefine what it means to be married and what it means to be us. And we don't need a theological or a Christian narrative to define that. I didn't date her in a temple. I didn't date her in a chapel. I married her there. I dated that woman going to John Mayer concerts. We drove across the desert to California multiple times. I fell in love with her staring at stars and Lake Powell and holding
he's a
each other's hands.
romantic.
Oh, very much so. Every single second I can get with that woman, I'm going to write it down, I'm going to remember it, and I'm going to make sure my kids see how much I love their mom, because that's how you make good kids.
Yeah, man, I love that.
Yeah.
And guys, if you haven't, go check out their pages, because it's just fun. They're real. They're 100% authentic and real and vulnerable, and I dig it about them. And so these guys, special part of our community. We're so grateful for them. We love you guys, man.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
Okay. See ya.
Peace.